Hello, and welcome to DarkTrailz, the place where you are guided into mesmerizing stories designed to help you unwind and drift into sleep. Tonight, we are taking a gentle step into a tale that might just change the way you look at backpacks or shadows. Picture this: a small town where the mist rolls in even when it is not supposed to. Picture a boy with freckles like constellations and a birthday coming up, one he is not particularly excited about. But then, something shifts. Something zips. You probably won't survive this. At least not without questioning everything you thought you knew. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And while you are at it, tell me where you are listening from and what time it is. I love seeing just how far these stories travel. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let us ease into tonight's journey together. It was the kind of birthday that felt like a leftover Wednesday. Draped in gray, unbothered by excitement. 13. Not quite a milestone. Not quite anything, really. Except maybe the year where you suddenly grow elbows that knock everything off shelves and knees that want to bend the wrong way. His name was Eliot. Not Eliot with two L's. Which he reminded people about often, because it mattered to him. Names are spells. After all, even if no one tells you that directly. That particular birthday morning, Eliot's mom made pancakes shaped like numbers. A wonky 1 and a too fat 3 that looked more like a question mark. They sat on a plate beside 3 strips of bacon, and 1 blue candle jammed into a cup of applesauce. As far as birthday breakfasts went, it was adorable and slightly suspicious. Because, you see, Eliot's mom had forgotten his birthday the year before, not on purpose. She would been in the middle of some sort of audit at work, a thing involving boxes, coffee, and deep sighs. So this year, she was trying. But what really made the day feel strange was what came after breakfast. She handed him a small gift bag, the paper wrinkled like it had been used before. He opened it expecting socks or maybe one of those novelty erasers shaped like sushi, but it was not either. It was a key. Not a digital key or a novelty key or even a house key. Proper, old-fashioned, brass key with a loop top and tiny teeth that bit into his palm. "There is a little shop on Juniper Street," she said. "The one next to the bakery with the purple awning. They said you should go there after school. The keys for a locker in the back." Eliot blinked. "A what? I do not know." She sipped her coffee, already scrolling through emails. Some kind of antique thing. I called ahead. The lady there said it was special inventory for a birthday boy. Weird, right? Weird. Yes. But also, just maybe, a little magical. Eliot did not tell anyone at school. Not his best friend, Theo, who would have made 5 conspiracy charts and insisted on protective charms. Not even Ms. Ellman, his literature teacher, who was oddly into cursed objects for someone with a butterfly cardigan. When the final bell rang, Eliot did not take the bus. He walked, backpack slung over one shoulder and the key nestled deep in his jeans pocket, slightly warm, like it had been waiting. Juniper Street was mostly sleepy shops and gossip. The bakery smelled like dreams on dough. The antique store sat between it and an empty storefront with windows covered in paper. The purple awning did not have a name, just a wooden sign above the door that read, "No refunds, no exchanges, no exceptions." Inside, the shop was smaller than it should have been. It smelled of cinnamon and rust, which should not go together but somehow did. Wind chimes of spoons and broken keys dangled from the ceiling. Shelves sagged under old cameras. Eyeglasses, dolls with faded eyes. A stuffed peacock wearing a crown watched him from the corner. An old woman with a braid as thick as Eliot's arm appeared from behind a curtain. She did not speak. She simply looked at the key in his hand, nodded once, and pointed toward a narrow hallway. The locker was tall, metal, numbered 43 in peeling gold letters. Eliot fit the key into the lock and twisted. There was a click, a sigh, and a hum, deep and low, like a cello underwater. Inside the locker was a backpack. It was midnight blue, but darker somehow, like the blue between lightning flashes. The zipper had a crescent moon charm. The surface was, not leathery, not nylon, not quite fabric. If shadow had a texture, it would have felt like this. He reached out, touched it. The backpack felt warm, alive. He pulled it out and slung it on his back. The weight shifted oddly, like something inside it adjusted to him. No one asked for ID. No one asked for payment. As he walked out, the shop bell gave a single chime even though the door did not move. The old woman smiled but did not wave. Eliot walked home through drifting leaves and a sky turning lavender. The backpack made no sound, no complaints, just rested lightly against his spine as though it had always been there. That night, before sleep, Eliot examined it again, unzipped it, empty. He ran his hand along the inside lining. It did not feel like the outside at all. It was deeper than it should be, like the inside went somewhere else. He laughed to himself, like a backpack version of Narnia. Then he zipped it up and placed it beside his bed. The moment the lights went out, the zipper tugged itself halfway open and whispered, just once, like something inside it had woken up. The first time it whispered his name, it did not sound like a voice at all. It sounded like wind behind a locked window or the hiss of a record before the music starts. Eliot lay still. The moonlight spilled in just enough to outline the backpack slumped beside the nightstand. It had not moved, not visibly, but the zipper, halfway open, seemed to breathe. He reached over cautiously, flicked on the lamp, and sat up. The zipper was still. The room was quiet. He glanced at the clock. 2:14 a.m. The kind of time when dreams start to fray at the edges. He whispered to himself, "That did not happen." The backpack said nothing. The next morning, the sun came in hard and bright like it was trying to erase the night. Eliot dressed quickly and poked through the backpack again. Nothing had changed. Still empty, still oddly warm. Still that strange lining like smoke woven into silk. He zipped it closed and slung it over his shoulder. "If you are cursed," he muttered, "you better have cool side effects." The school. Everything felt 1 millimeter out of place. The bell rang slightly too sharp. The floor in homeroom creaked like it had a secret. Even Theo, his best friend, tilted his head and asked, "Are you wearing a new backpack?" "It is. Got a vibe," Eliot just said. "It was a gift. At lunch." The backpack unzipped itself. Just an inch. Then zipped back. No one noticed but Eliot. He spilled his juice watching it. Ms. Ellman gave a quiz on metaphors and monsters. Eliot stared at the word devour for too long. He was still thinking about it when a chill ran down his spine in the hallway after class. The backpack had suddenly grown heavier. Not dramatically, just enough that it felt like someone else was holding the other strap. "Did you put something in it?" Theo asked. Eliot shook his head. He had not. He was sure of it. By the end of the day, the backpack felt normal again. At home, he weighed it on the bathroom scale. Exactly 5 pounds. He turned it upside down, shook it. Nothing fell out. No sound. He even put his ear close to the fabric. Nothing. That night, the whisper came earlier, around midnight. This time, it was clearer. Eliot. A breath. Almost like a memory. His heart hammered. He whispered back, "What do you want?" The backpack did not answer, but the zipper opened all the way. Eliot stared into the opening. It was black. Not just dark. It was the kind of black that felt like it was looking back. A rustle. A flicker. And then he saw something. Just for a second. A shape. Claw, no. Not quite. More like something folding in on itself. Something unfinished. He snapped the zipper shut. The room fell silent again. "Okay," he whispered. "So you are alive. Good to know." The backpack did not react. Over the next few nights, the pattern continued. The whisper, the zipper. Sometimes it said his name. Sometimes it did not. One night, said not yet. Another night, it whispered, closed. One Thursday, it said, soon. Eliot started sleeping with a flashlight under his pillow and a baseball bat beside his bed. He did not tell his mom. She was already stressed from work and a plumbing issue that made the kitchen faucet sound like it was sobbing. He did not tell Theo either. Some things, even best friends could not help with. But on the fifth night, something different happened. The backpack did not just whisper. It trembled. Eliot opened it cautiously. This time, he did not see a shape. He saw a glow, faint, blue-white, like lightning trapped in a jar. He reached in. The glow vanished, but his fingers touched something cold. He pulled it out. It was a marble, or a stone, smooth, irregular, like it had been carved by a river that had forgotten how to be gentle. There were symbols etched on it, or maybe cracks. They shimmered faintly, like veins of quartz. Eliot placed it on his desk and stared at it until he fell asleep. In the morning, it was gone. He looked everywhere. Under the bed, in drawers, even in the freezer. Nothing. But the backpack was still there, still warm, still empty, still waiting. At breakfast, he poked at his cereal and wondered if he was starting to dream with his eyes open. His mom mentioned an antique fair coming to town. They will have weird stuff. You would like it. Eliot barely heard her. The backpack was under the table, resting quietly, but its zipper had opened just a little, and the air around it felt expectant, hungry. Later that night, Eliot placed the backpack on the desk and said, "I know you are not just a backpack. So what are you?" It whispered back, but not in words, more like a feeling, promise, a pull. He unzipped it again, just a bit, and this time, he did not flinch. Something inside stirred, a sigh, a ripple, a distant whisper that was not quite English. Eliot reached toward it. The light flickered, the air shifted, and then everything went still. The backpack, once again, zipped itself closed. Eliot exhaled. "Yeah," he said softly. "This is gonna get weird." He was not wrong. It happened on a Sunday night, the kind of night where even the air seemed to hold its breath. Eliot had been drifting between pages of a comic and the gentle hum of the fan. Eyes heavy, head sinking into the pillow, when the room suddenly changed. It was not loud, but something had shifted, like the shadows had leaned forward just a bit too far. The backpack sat quietly by the closet door, zipper fully closed, no whispers, no glow, but the room itself had grown colder, sharply so, as if someone had opened a window to a storm that had not arrived yet. Eliot sat up, hair on his arms standing alert. "Hello," he called softly, not sure why, because no one else should have been there. And yet, in the corner of his vision, something moved, a shimmer, like heat above asphalt, but upside down. It slithered along the wall, not walking, not crawling, but folding through the air in a way that broke all the usual rules. He turned toward it, and it vanished, not like it left, but like it never was. His breath caught in his throat. That was not a dream, he whispered. The backpack unzipped, slowly, deliberately, as if accepting an invitation. Eliot did not move. His pulse drummed in his ears. The room felt like a held note, and the backpack waited. Then, without a sound, something emerged from the wall. It was not made of flesh. Not exactly. It was smoke and shadow and suggestion. Eyes that were not eyes. A mouth that did not open. Eliot could not scream. He could not think. He could only watch as it drifted toward the bed. Silent and vast. Eliot felt his chest tighten, his hands numb, and just when the creature reached the edge of his blankets, the backpack made a sound. It growled, low and ancient, a sound like stone breaking underwater. The shadow froze, twitched, and turned its not eyes toward the bag. And then, the backpack opened. Not gently, not politely. It yawned open like a trapdoor to another universe. And in a rush of wind that did not touch Eliot's skin, the thing was gone, just like that, pulled inside, consumed. The zipper closed with a sharp, satisfied snap. Eliot sat frozen for a long time, maybe minutes, maybe hours. Time had unspooled like ribbon in the dark. When he finally moved, his whole body trembled. He stood, walked to the bag, and whispered, "What did you do?" The backpack was silent, but warm, warmer than ever, like it had digested lightning. He unzipped it cautiously. Inside was only darkness, but it no longer felt empty, felt full, sated, quiet. "You eat monsters," Eliot said aloud, just to hear how the words tasted. And the backpack, as if acknowledging the truth, gave a soft hum. That night, he did not sleep. He sat beside the bag, watching it. The next day, Eliot researched sleep paralysis, night terrors, hallucinations, but nothing explained the breeze that had not moved the curtains, or the way his comics had fluttered when the thing passed by. Nothing explained the ash mark left on the floor where the shadow had paused. He tried scrubbing it. It did not go. By Tuesday, he started noticing other things. A flicker behind the school lockers, a growl under the bleachers, whispers in the air vents. First, he thought he was losing it. But no, they were real, just invisible to everyone else. Only he could see them. Only he could hear them. Only he could feel the space shift when something unnatural entered the world. And each time, the backpack would twitch, hunger stirring. "There is a pattern," Eliot said. He started keeping a notebook, recording the times, the locations, the weather, the temperature. There was no clear logic. But something was happening, something growing. One night, while brushing his teeth, he looked up and saw a flickering shape behind him in the mirror. He spun around. Nothing. But when he looked again, the toothpaste had frozen mid-drip on the sink. That night, the backpack was restless. It rolled over by itself, shivered, and opened slightly. The next day, Eliot walked home through the alley behind the music store, and he felt it, a chill, a warble in the light. Something was near, something not right. He stepped out from behind a dumpster, tall and cracked, wearing the skin of something that had forgotten how to be human. Eliot did not scream. He pulled the backpack forward, unzipped it, and let it open. The thing lunged, and the backpack snapped wide. It was like watching a whirlpool turn inside out. The air bent, sound disappeared, and then it was over. The thing was gone. The backpack zipped itself. Eliot whispered, "You are not cursed." He ran a hand over its side. "You are a weapon." That night, he slept better than he had in weeks. Not because he was safe, but because for the first time, he understood what the backpack wanted. And maybe, just maybe, he did not mind giving it what it needed. Eliot started to notice the rules not because someone told him, but because the backpack made him feel them, like gravity or guilt, invisible but absolute. The first rule was simple. The backpack only opened when a monster was near, not when Eliot wanted, not when he was curious, only when something wrong stepped into the world. He tested it. Of course he did. He sat in his room, tried unzipping it slowly, then fast, tried speaking to it, bribing it, even singing to it once, which made it rumble in a way that might have been laughter. But it stayed closed, heavy and full of secrets, until a thing that did not belong wandered too close. Then it would open, just a little, like an eyelid, watching. Rule 2. Only Eliot could see the monsters. He realized this at school, when something pale and hunched slid down the side of the vending machine in the teacher's lounge. All teeth and flaking shadows. Ms. Ellman walked past it without flinching, humming, completely unaware she had stepped through its tail. Eliot almost screamed, but the thing hissed and slithered into a corner, and the backpack, tucked under Eliot's desk, twitched and purred. He ran to the lounge, opened the bag, and the thing was gone in a heartbeat. No one even noticed. Theo just asked why Eliot kept disappearing between classes. Eliot said bathroom emergency, which, in middle school, was the ultimate conversation ender. Rule 3 came slow, and it unsettled him. Every time the backpack ate, Eliot felt something, a rush, a flicker. A moment where the world blinked and a piece of him blinked with it. Not pain, not joy, just connection, like the bag was sharing a memory, or maybe taking one. He could not be sure. One morning, he looked in the mirror and did not remember putting on his socks. Not a big deal. But then it happened again, and again. Little things. Forgetting where he put his book. Forgetting what day it was. Forgetting his mom's middle name. The backpack never explained. But Eliot had a suspicion. It was not just feeding on monsters. Something else was happening. A trade. Attacks. Rule 4. The monsters were changing. The first ones had been mostly shape and shadow, but the recent ones had details. A coat, a wedding ring, as like someone he thought he recognized from the supermarket. It made his stomach twist. Were they always this close to real, or was he starting to see what they used to be? One Thursday, Eliot found a monster in the music room, hunched over a cello, bow scraping soundlessly across strings. It wore a suit, old and shredded, and it cried without tears. He almost did not open the backpack. But then the thing turned, and its mouth stretched into a grin that went too wide. Eliot flinched, opened the zipper, and the room fell silent. The cello string snapped, and the thing was gone. The backpack zipped itself with a sigh. Rule 5. Never feed it more than once a day. He learned that one the hard way. It was Saturday, and Eliot had tracked 2 creatures in one afternoon. He thought he was being efficient, but after the second, the backpack hissed. Not at the monster, at him. It shook, buckled, and screamed without sound. Eliot dropped it, and for 5 full minutes, it glowed red, pulsing like a heart too full of lightning. When it calmed, it felt heavier, and Eliot felt dizzy, like he would forgotten his name for half a second. He slept 14 hours that night, and dreamed of clocks melting through the floor. After that, he made a journal. He called it the rules of the bag. He taped in drawings, maps, notes, circled dates. He tried to make sense of it, as if he were the keeper of something ancient, which, frankly, he probably was. Rule 6. Never lie to it. He did not know how he learned this, but one evening, he tried to pretend he had not seen the thing crouching in the garage. He zipped the backpack tight, ignored its twitching, sat down to dinner, and smiled like nothing was wrong. That night, he dreamed of being zipped into the bag himself. He woke up sweating, with a faint imprint of zipper teeth across his arm. Message received. After that, he did not lie, not even a little. If he saw a monster, he handled it, or at least acknowledged it. The backpack never punished him again. Rule 7. It does not open for anyone else. He proved this by leaving it in Theo's room one night, told him, if anything weird happens, open this. Theo, being Theo, poked it, shook it, sat on it. Nothing. When Eliot came back, the backpack unzipped as soon as he touched it. Theo declared it a creepily selective vacuum. Eliot just nodded. Rule 8. It does not forget. Ever. It remembered the monsters, where it ate them, how they moved. Sometimes it glowed faintly when they passed near again. Not fully reborn, but echoing through time. Eliot started to wonder, were they ever really gone or just stored somewhere deeper than inside? The final rule, Rule 9, came unspoken. Eliot wrote it down last, in small, shaking letters. It reads, one day, it will ask for something you can't give, and when that day comes, you will have to choose. Eliot did not plan to visit Gran, but the backpack tugged at him. Not literally, but in that quiet, persistent way it had, like a dream that kept rerunning even after you woke up. It was Sunday, gray and windless, and his mom had one of her rare free afternoons. So when she said, "Let us go see your grandmother," Eliot did not argue. He packed light, but brought the backpack. Of course, zipped up and quiet, they drove out past the supermarket, past the old water tower, and into the hills where the houses had porches and memories and too many wind chimes. Gran lived in a house with an attic that smelled like books left open in the rain. She met them at the door with her usual hug, smelled of eucalyptus and hard candy, and said, "Your elbows are too sharp." "You growing again?" Eliot smiled, muttered something about cereal and genetics, and followed her inside. His mom and Gran talked about pipes, neighbors, garden gnomes, adult things with important frowns. So Eliot wandered, like he always did, into the attic. The stairs creaked in the same order they always had. Fifth one a bit dramatic, seventh one apologetic. The attic door was unlocked, which was unusual. The last time he would come up, he would had to convince Gran that he was not hunting for ghosts, which, technically, had been true, but not anymore. The attic was a kingdom of dust and boxes, light slipping through slats like tired spiderwebs. He walked carefully, backpack in place, the zipper twitching now and then, as if it recognized something. He found the trunk beneath a stack of quilts, heavy, brass-handled, labeled with his grandfather's name. Leland. Eliot had never known him. He would died before Eliot was born, in some kind of accident that no one explained fully. Just murmurs about thunder and a cliff and bad timing. The lock on the trunk clicked open with surprising ease. Inside, old photo albums, a compass, a folded map stained with something dark, and a letter, yellowed, sealed with wax. The wax bore a crescent moon, just like the zipper charm on Eliot's backpack. His fingers trembled as he broke the seal. The letter was not long. It read, "To the one who carries the hunger. You are not the first. You will not be the last. Feed wisely. Remember your name. Trust the map only on odd-numbered days. And never look inside during an eclipse." There was no signature, just a sketch at the bottom. A backpack, unmistakably the same one, drawn in ink that shimmered faintly. Eliot stared, the attic around him holding its breath. He opened the album next. Photos of his grandfather, smiling, serious, standing in front of strange landscapes, a desert with 3 moons, a forest with leaves shaped like eyes. One photo in particular made Eliot's spine tingle. His grandfather, standing beside the same antique shop on Juniper Street. Only the sign above the door was different. It read, "Devourer's Keep." Below that photo, caption, "Leland, last journey before the breach." Eliot closed the album, hands shaking. The backpack was warm now, pulsing gently. Eliot looked around, noticed something he had not before, a mural, painted on the sloped attic wall, faded, almost erased by time and dust. It showed a boy, not unlike him, holding a backpack open, and shadows rushing toward it. Behind the boy, a staircase made of stars, leading into darkness. "Gran," he called. She appeared like a whisper. "I thought you would find that eventually." "What is this?" Eliot asked, voice small. She looked at him, eyes heavy with memory. "It is part of the family. Some inherit houses, some inherit debt. We inherit this." She walked to the trunk, touched the compass. "It always points to the hungry ones." Eliot did not know what to say. Gran looked at the backpack. "Shows you it was in a locker." "It always is," she said. Eliot blinked. "What happened to Grandpa? He forgot the rules," she said, simply, then added, "And he looked inside. During an eclipse." Eliot's mouth went dry. "So it is cursed, no." Gran smiled. "It is a responsibility. There is a difference." The backpack rustled, almost pleased. Gran handed him a tiny notebook, red leather, worn edges. Inside, page after page of monster sketches. Notes, feeding times, emotional effects. One was labeled, "Do not feed the Echo Twins. Ever." Another, "The glass dogs are lying." Eliot flipped to the last page. A symbol, a door, and a question. "What happens when the bag is full?" Eliot looked up. "Is it?" Gran did not answer. She only said, "Be careful. Some monsters beg before they bite." Eliot closed the book, zipped the backpack, and whispered, "I will be careful." That night, as he lay in bed, he tucked the letter under his pillow. the notebook in his drawer, and the backpack close to his side. For the first time, it did not whisper, purred. Eliot did not go to the library expecting answers. He went because the backpack would not stop humming. Not loudly, not in sound exactly, but in vibration. A low thrum he could feel through the straps and into his spine. It started Monday morning, just as he stepped out the door, and continued through math class, through lunch, through the walk past the bakery where the pigeons acted like they knew secrets. By 3 p.m. it was undeniable. The backpack wanted something, and it wanted the library. The town library was not grand. It looked like a post office that had dreams of becoming a castle. Ivy on the side, a cracked lion statue in front. The inside smelled of old paper and lemon polish. Cool and quiet, the kind of quiet that made you whisper even if you were alone. Eliot had been there many times, but never alone. This time, he moved with purpose, letting the bag guide him, almost like a dowsing rod. The hum grew stronger as he passed the fiction shelves, then the magazines, then the strange display about haunted landmarks of the county. He stopped near a door labeled staff only. The hum peaked. The door creaked open, just a little, and a voice said, "I wondered when you would show up." Eliot froze. The voice belonged to a woman, tall, wearing a cardigan full of embroidered stars and moons. Her hair was silver, her eyes the color of dried leaves. She did not look surprised to see him. "Come in, before the books start talking again." Eliot entered cautiously. "Who are you?" "I am Ms. Kettle," she said, "head of special holdings." She waved him inside a small, cozy office filled with typewriters, hourglasses, and a raven that seemed stuffed until it blinked. Miss Kettle sat behind the desk and reached under it, producing a book wrapped in faded velvet. She unwrapped it carefully, revealing a thick, dark cover etched with symbols that danced if you stared too long. The title read, "Devourers of the Night." "Is this about?" Eliot pointed to his backpack. "More than you know," she said. She opened the book, flipping past pages of handwritten entries, sketches of teeth, diagrams of dream anatomy. "This is not a library book. It is a ledger, kept by those who carried the hunger." She tapped one page. It showed a backpack, like his, labeled with many names. Leland, Alira, Tomas, and now, Eliot. "You are not the first," she said, "and you won't be the last." Eliot stared. "How do you know my name?" The bag whispered it. She said simply, "Tells us things, when it feels like it." She pointed to another page. "Each bearer sees different types of monsters, depending on their fears, their thoughts, their alignment." "Alignment?" Eliot asked. "Like in a video game, exactly." She smiled. "Some people feed it because they must. Some because they enjoy it. Some because they do not know any other way to survive." Eliot looked at the drawings. Grotesque, beautiful, horrifying, familiar. "Do they all disappear? They are removed," she said, "extracted from this plane. Where they go, no one knows, not even the bag." She leaned forward. "But be warned, some monsters wear familiar faces. Not everything that frightens you is meant to be destroyed." Eliot swallowed. "Can I stop using it? You can try," she said. "But the hunger does not go away. It waits." She handed him a page torn from another book. A map, covered in symbols and little teeth. "This will help. When the backpack starts pointing instead of pulling. Follow this." Eliot took it. The paper warmed to the touch. "What about the others, the ones before me?" Miss Kettle looked away. "Some were consumed. Some walked away. One became the bag." Eliot blinked. "That is a joke, right?" She did not laugh. The raven blinked again. Eliot stood, unsure what to say. The backpack on his back was quiet now. Still, like it was listening. She handed him the velvet. "Wrap the book. Don't let it get wet, and never read it on a Tuesday." Eliot nodded, turned to leave, paused. "Thank you. You are welcome," she said. "But thank me only if you survive until spring." He did not ask what happened in spring. He He did not want to know. As he stepped outside, the sky had gone amber, the sun low, the wind curling like curious fingers. He held the book tightly, the backpack silent, but pulsing once. In approval, that night, he read 3 pages, just enough to give him nightmares about stairs that led into people's mouths. He woke up clutching his pillow, whispering words he did not know he would learn. The backpack rustled beside him, whispering back, one word, soon. The school's soccer field always smelled like damp grass and forgotten socks. It was not a place where Eliot expected danger, just shin guards, sunburn, and Coach Myers shouting about hustle. But that Friday, during drills, the backpack began to hum. First, he thought it was the usual pull, faint and low, but then it spiked, sharp and sudden, like a violin string snapping in his spine. Eliot stumbled mid-sprint, clutched his side, and looked toward the bleachers. They were old, metal, slightly rusted, the kind that made your jeans dirty and your back ache. But beneath them, something shifted, not visibly. No one else noticed, but Eliot felt it. Something watching, something crouched in shadow, breathing too shallow, too carefully. Coach barked, "You good, Eliot," he muttered, waving. "Yeah, just a cramp." The backpack twitched against his spine, like it disagreed. Eliot jogged to the sidelines, pretended to tie his shoe, then moved toward the bleachers. Each step felt like a countdown. The sun glared overhead, but the space under the seats was darker than it should be. Not shadow, something else. He crouched low, pretending to retie a lace, and peeked underneath. Eyes, dozens, maybe more, blinking one by one like Christmas lights made of regret. A shape coiled in the dark, skin like melted trophies, bones bending the wrong way. It grinned, or maybe it stretched its face. Either way, it began to crawl, slowly, like it had time. Eliot's breath caught. His fingers slid to the backpack's zipper. It opened, only slightly, waiting. Eliot whispered. Now the backpack purred. The thing under the bleachers inched closer. No one else saw it. A few kids laughed nearby, oblivious. One kicked a ball that bounced against the bleachers, passing inches from the creature's tail. Eliot swallowed. He stood up, opened the backpack wider, and took a step forward. The monster hissed, a sound like someone flipping pages in a book of screams. It lunged, silent, and the backpack yawned open. A pull, a suck, a collapse of space and logic. The air folded, bent, and the monster vanished. No flash, no noise, just absence. Eliot zipped the bag, his hands trembling, his heart hammered against his ribs like it wanted out. "Dude," Theo called from the field. "You okay?" "Yeah," Eliot said. "Just shoes." He jogged back, the backpack heavier now. Content, purred once, then fell still. That night, Eliot drew the bleachers in his journal, marked the date, noted the eyes. He labeled it, Bleacher Beast. Below that, he wrote, "Not all monsters hide in closets. Some prefer aluminum." He laughed at his own joke, then paused, because he was not sure it was a joke. The next day, Miss Kettle called the house. Somehow, she had the number. She left a message. "One down, 17 to go. Beware the ones that smell like mint." Eliot deleted the message, but the warning lingered. Dinner. He could not eat his dessert. Mint ice cream, just in case. The following week, the school posted a notice. Bleacher repair scheduled due to unusual corrosion. Eliot read it twice, smiled faintly, then checked his backpack, which vibrated once, like it was pleased. He whispered, "You are welcome." It did not respond, but that night, it whispered something new, faster, as if the next one would not wait so patiently. Eliot discovered the hidden pocket by accident, or maybe the backpack had decided he was ready. It was just past midnight, the kind of hour when the moon forgets its shape and shadows lean a little, closer than they should. He could not sleep, not with the backpack whispering again. Not words, Not warnings, just a steady stream of syllables that did not belong to any language he knew. He sat cross-legged on the floor, backpack in front of him, unzipped, quiet. The lining shimmered faintly, like a pond rippling beneath starlight. And then, as he reached in, something clicked, a soft snap, like a heartbeat holding its breath. His fingers found a flap, almost imperceptible, tucked deep against the spine of the bag. He pulled, and a compartment opened. Inside was a map, rolled tight, bound with a silver thread that felt like spider silk and sang when touched. Eliot unrolled it slowly, careful not to tear the delicate parchment. At first, it looked blank, but as the clock struck 12, ink began to rise, shapes forming like breath on glass. A town map, but not exactly his town. Similar, yes, same streets, same lake, same bakery with the forever burning lamp. But there were differences, places marked that did not exist, or did not anymore. A fountain in the middle of the woods, a train station with no tracks, a symbol drawn where the hardware store should be. Eliot stared, heart thudding. The symbols shifted, pulsed, some faded, some appeared. He marked the time, 12:01 a.m. The map was alive, or at least, aware. A spot on the far corner blinked faintly, a soft gold light that came and went like firefly breath. He traced it. The label read, Needles Hollow. He would never heard of it. Not on maps, not in stories, but the backpack purred, which meant it knew, and it approved. The next night, he checked the map again. This time, the blinking spot had moved, closer, now hovering near the park. He decided to follow, with a flashlight, a granola bar, and a vague sense of dread wrapped in curiosity. Eliot set out after midnight, the map tucked into a notebook, the backpack light but alert. He walked past the bakery, which still glowed like a lighthouse for ghosts, past the statue of the mayor no one liked, into the trees where the streetlights gave up. The park was silent, empty swings twisting slightly in wind that did not move the leaves. He held out the map, watched the ink shimmer, and then the blinking spot pulsed, harder, faster. A breeze blew, carrying a scent of smoke and lavender. And from the bushes, it emerged, not walking, not floating, but folding forward, all joints and robes, its face a blur of static. Eliot did not wait. He opened the backpack. Why, the thing paused, tilted its knot head, and whispered something that sounded like an apology. But the bag was faster. It swallowed the thing in a quiet, respectful silence. No noise, no struggle, just acceptance. Eliot zipped the bag, hands steady. The map pulsed once, then calmed. The blinking light vanished. In its place, a new path appeared, leading west, off the edge of the paper. Eliot stared. He whispered, "Where do you want me to go?" The map said nothing, but the backpack twitched, as if answering. Forward. The next day, Eliot showed the map to Ms. Kettle. She looked at it, pale. "You found the thread-bound chart. I did not know it had a name." She nodded slowly. "It updates based on hunger. Some say it shows the shape of need." "Whose need?" Eliot asked. "Yours," she said, "or theirs. Hard to tell." She warned him, "Don't follow the red ink. Not unless you are ready to lose your name." That night, the ink turned red at the edges. Just a flicker, just a dare. Eliot closed the map, put it back into the secret pocket, zipped the bag tight, and whispered, "Not yet." The backpack did not argue, but it did not purr either. The map led him to the edge of town, past the railroad museum, past the fields where scarecrows leaned like tired prophets, and down a dirt path no one had walked in years. Eliot moved quietly, the backpack snug against his spine, the map warm in his pocket, pulsing faintly with each step. At the end of the path, hidden behind overgrown hedges and a rusting gate, stood the old train station, except there were no tracks, no trains, not even the memory of tracks. Just a wide stone platform and a building that leaned like it was listening to secrets underground. The sign above the entrance read, "Westbound Terminal," but the letters shifted slightly if he stared too long, rearranging themselves into words that did not belong in English or Earth. Eliot stepped through the gate, the hinges groaning like they had not moved since dreams were invented. The platform was cracked, moss-covered, but not abandoned. A single bench held a folded newspaper dated 20 years in the future, and a teacup that steamed as if just poured. Eliot did not touch it. The backpack throbbed once. A low warning. He walked into the terminal, the door swinging open on its own. Inside, silence, except for a faint humming. Not mechanical, not electrical. It sounded like a lullaby played on broken bells. The walls were lined with ticket windows, all empty. Behind one, a flicker of motion. Eliot leaned closer, but saw only dust. Then a whisper, not from the backpack, but from the station itself. "Welcome, passenger." Eliot spun around. "Who said that?" The backpack opened slightly. Cautious, Eliot walked further in, following the sound. It led him to a hallway behind the main lobby, lined with old posters advertising places he would never heard of. The city beneath the lake. Twilight Junction. Platform 9 and 13 quarters. He paused at a door marked Arrivals. It opened before he touched it. Beyond was a platform bathed in moonlight, and something standing at the edge, waiting. It was not a person. Not quite. It wore a conductor's uniform, but its face was a clock. Not drawn, not painted. An actual ticking clock with hands spinning too fast. Eliot approached slowly. The thing did not move, but the second hand stuttered, then pointed directly at him. "You carry the hunger," it said, voice like shattering mirrors in reverse. Eliot nodded. "I did not ask for it." "None do," said the clock face, "but the route runs through you now." "What route?" Eliot asked. "The one between forgetting and becoming," it said. "Do you wish to board?" "Board what?" Eliot glanced around. There were no tracks, no trains, nothing. The conductor turned slightly, and a train appeared, not arriving, not materializing, just suddenly there, sleek, silver, endless, with windows filled with sleeping silhouettes. The doors opened with a sigh. The backpack buzzed, almost angrily. Eliot stepped back. "I do not think I am supposed to get on." "Not yet," said the clock face. "But one day, the bag will be full, and the train will call you." "Where does it go?" Eliot whispered. "To the place between." The clock face replied, "Where monsters are born, and hunger is forgiven." Eliot shivered. The train pulsed once, then vanished. No fade, just gone. The platform was empty again. The conductor bowed, slowly, then pointed to a bench. On it sat a single coin, etched with both his name and a symbol from the map. Eliot picked it up. It was warm, familiar. The clock face spoke one last time. "The next station only appears during storms. Follow the static." Then it too vanished. Eliot was alone, or as alone as he ever was. The backpack zipped itself shut, purring once. They walked back through the woods, the moon now too bright, the path too quiet. At home, Eliot placed the coin in his notebook, circled the word static, and underlined it 3 times. That night, he dreamed of tracks growing like vines from his floor, of a whistle in the wind, of a backpack that whispered, "Ticket, please." It was the kind of night that felt rehearsed, like the sky had waited centuries to get it just right. The air was too still, the stars too quiet, and the moon, oh the moon, it was enormous, low, swollen with secrets. Eliot had forgotten it was a lunar eclipse. He only remembered when the backpack began to vibrate uncontrollably as the sky turned copper. A slow bleeding into rust. First, he thought it was another monster, but this was different. The backpack was not alert. It was ravenous. The zipper opened on its own, wider than usual, revealing a depth that shimmered red. Eliot whispered, "What is happening?" The backpack did not reply in words. but the hunger in it was a roar, a tidal pull in his chest. Gran's warning echoed in his mind. Never look inside during an eclipse. But it was too late. He already had. The inside was not just deep. It was endless. Stars flickered in its lining. Or maybe they were eyes. The sound was like time folding in reverse. A rewind of screams he never remembered making. He shut the zipper. Fast. Heart pounding. The backpack trembled. As if furious. The moon above bled fully into shadow. And the wind changed direction. Eliot stepped outside. Barefoot. The grass cold. The whole neighborhood was watching the eclipse. Heads tilted. Cameras clicking. But none of them saw the creature on the roof. Hunched. Skeletal. With wings that flickered like paper on fire. Eliot saw it. And so did the backpack. It flew low. Circled once. Then landed silently in his yard. No one else noticed. The monster sniffed the air. Then spoke. You carry the old hunger. Eliot nodded. Barely. Do you know what it means? It asked. Only that I feed it. That is not enough. The creature said. It wants more. Always more. Then what do I do? Eliot whispered. The creature unfolded itself. Stood tall. Taller than his house. The shadow swallowed the fence. You survive. Until it asks for something you love. Eliot stepped back. Hand on the zipper. You're going to attack me? Not tonight. The creature said. Tonight. I watch. It vanished in a flurry of feathers that did not fall. The moon began to glow again. Pale. Exhausted. Eliot turned to go back inside. But paused. In his garden. The tomato plants had withered. The scarecrow's head turned toward him. He zipped the backpack. Placed it by the door. And whispered. Not again. That night. He did not sleep. He wrote. Pages and pages. He drew the creature. Wrote its words. Added a new rule to his journal. Rule 10. During eclipses. Do not feed. Do not look. Do not trust. In the morning. The backyard looked normal. The scarecrow faced east again. The tomato plants stood tall. But the soil was scorched in the shape of wings. Miss Kettle called him again. Did you feed it? No. Good, she said. You passed. Passed what? The hunger test, she said. It always comes at full shadow. Some give in. Some do not. Those who do never come back quite right. Eliot stared at his hand. Noticed a faint scar on his palm he did not remember earning. The backpack was quiet now. Too quiet. That night, as he turned off the lights, the zipper remained shut. No whisper. No purr. Just silence. As if it too was recovering from whatever it had wanted and had not received. The compass had been sitting on Eliot's shelf for weeks, untouched, unassuming, one of the many artifacts lifted from Gran's attic. He had not thought much of it, just another relic with too much dust and not enough instructions, until the day it started ticking, not spinning, not pointing, ticking, like a second heartbeat, faint but insistent. He was brushing his teeth, groggy and half-dreaming, when he heard it, a slow, measured click, click, click. He followed the sound to his room, eyes scanning for a phone alarm or toy, but it came from the compass, the needle twitching with each tick. Eliot picked it up, pulsed, cold and then warm. The needle spun 3 times, then stopped, pointing northeast. Is that where the monster is? He whispered. The backpack, slumped in the corner, purred once. Eliot did not wait. He threw on shoes, slung the backpack over one shoulder, and pocketed the compass. Ticked louder with each step outside, guiding him through backyards, across a park, past a mural of a cat playing chess with a goose. The world felt thinner, like a page about to tear. The compass led him to the edge of the old quarry, a place fenced off, labeled danger in fading red letters. The air smelled like ozone and secrets. He climbed the fence, boots crunching on brittle grass. At the bottom of the quarry, the compass spun wildly, then stopped, pointing directly down. It is under me, he asked. The backpack opened slightly. Eliot Saturday breathed slowly. and placed the compass on the ground. The dirt cracked, like old ice, and a whisper rose from below. "You are not him." "No," Eliot said. "I am his grandson." The ground shivered, and then split, revealing a staircase that had not been there seconds before. Stone, ancient, leading downward into a place that should not exist. He descended, the air growing thick with memories not his own. The walls flickered with images. His grandfather's face, smiling, running, hiding, then shadows, claws, teeth. The deeper he went, the more the compass glowed. Not light, but memory. He reached a chamber, wide and silent. In the center, pedestal, and on it, a book, bound in dark leather, etched with a crescent moon. Eliot approached, opened it. The first page read, "Leland Gray, Devourer." The rest detailed his grandfather's journey. The same backpack, the same rules, the same hunger, but one difference. Leland had tried to trap the hunger, to lock it away. The book ended with a note. "Do not trust the compass. It remembers differently." Eliot stared, then looked down. The compass needle spun again, then pointed directly behind him. He turned. Slowly, a creature stood there. Familiar, too familiar. It wore his grandfather's face, but stretched, wrong, distorted by time and regret. "You found me," it said, voice like gravel and thunder. "You are not him," Eliot said again. No, it smiled. "I am what he became." Eliot opened the backpack. The creature laughed. "You think that will stop me?" "No," Eliot said. "I think it is what you have been waiting for." The backpack yawned open. The creature froze, a flicker of fear in its not eyes. "You are not ready," it hissed. "You will be." And then it stepped forward, willingly, and was gone, swallowed whole. The backpack zipped shut. Eliot collapsed to his knees, the compass now dark, quiet, useless. He picked it up, held it tight, and whispered, "He is really gone." The chamber trembled, then began to crumble. He ran, fast, heart pounding, the stairs vanishing behind him with each step. He reached the quarry, scrambled up, and fell into the grass just as the entrance sealed. No trace, no crack, nothing. That night, he placed the compass in a drawer, locked it, and taped a note to the front. "Do not follow." The backpack was silent, but warm, like it understood, and agreed. The monster parade came every October, part tradition, par spectacle, a town favorite filled with floats, candy, paper masks, and teenagers pretending not to care. Eliot had always loved it, mostly for the kettle corn and the giant balloon shaped like a narwhal in a wizard hat. But this year, the parade felt different. The backpack had been twitchy all day, zipper fluttering like it was anxious. Eliot wore it under a hoodie, trying not to draw attention, but it pulsed steadily against his back, as if whispering, "Look closer." He stood near the corner of Main and Harper, wedged between a lawn gnome vendor and a chuo cart. The floats rolled past, dragons made of cardboard, kids dressed as aliens, a group of librarians throwing bookmarks. Everything seemed normal, until it did not. At first, it was subtle. A dancer in a paper wolf mask moved too smoothly, joints bending like wet reeds. A clown float past, and one of the clowns did not blink at all. The marching band played off-key, but it was not just bad musicianship. The notes sounded reversed, whispered. Eliot glanced at the map in his notebook. Nothing glowing, no blinking symbols, but the backpack disagreed. It unzipped halfway, warm, hungry. Then he saw it. On the float labeled creatures of the forest. Tucked between papier-mâché raccoons and a kid in a tree costume was something else. It was tall, draped in vines that moved on their own, his face a blur, and no one seemed to notice, not even the parents waving from lawn chairs. Eliot stepped into the street, heart racing. "Excuse me," he called to the float handler. "That thing is not part of." The handler smiled. "Too wide. Everything's part of the parade." if it walks in rhythm. The backpack pulsed. Eliot moved faster, weaving through confetti and candy wrappers. He reached the float. The thing turned, its eyes like tunnels, and hissed. The sound bent the air. Cracked balloons, made two toddlers cry in stereo. Eliot flung open the backpack. The thing roared, then lunged. But the bag was ready. It widened, wider, impossibly wide, and swallowed the creature whole. The crowd gasped, then clapped, thinking it was part of the show. Someone shouted, "Best illusion yet." A lady in a taco costume tossed Eliot a ribbon. "Great performance, kid." Eliot nodded, dazed, zipped the bag, and backed away. The parade kept moving, as if nothing had happened. But the energy had shifted. More of the floats looked wrong now. A scarecrow blinked sideways. A ballerina floated an inch off the ground. The line between pretend and predator had blurred. Eliot ducked into an alley, breathing hard. What was that? The backpack said nothing, just buzzed faintly. Eliot called Ms. Kettle. She answered on the first ring. "You are at the parade." "Are not you yet? Get out. Now." "Too late. I already fed it." Silence. Then, "How many more do you see?" Eliot peeked around the corner. "At least 4. Don't engage. Not today." "Why?" he asked. "Because today, they are wearing faces borrowed from memories." Eliot shivered. "You mean don't trust what you recognize," she said, and hung up. He watched as a float rolled by with someone who looked just like his old babysitter, but with too many teeth. The backpack growled. "No," he whispered. "Not yet." He slipped away, melting into the crowd. The parade marched on, music clashing, monsters smiling, illusions bleeding. That night, he wrote in the journal, "The monster parade is real, and not everything that waves is friendly." He added a new rule, Rule 11. If the monster is smiling, ask what memory it stole to shape its face. Then decide if you miss it enough to let it go. Her name was Lynn. She appeared one afternoon like rain on a cloudless day. Sudden, soft, and impossible to ignore. Eliot met her behind the library, where the brick wall still bore scorch marks from a monster he would fed to the backpack 2 weeks earlier. She was sitting cross-legged, tying knots in red thread, humming a song he did not recognize. The backpack stirred as soon as he saw her, not with hunger, but with something else. Curiosity, maybe, or recognition. Lynn looked up, smiled, and said, "You carry the stitch in reverse." Eliot blinked. "The what? That thing on your back?" She nodded at the bag. "It eats holes in the world. I sew them shut." She held up her hand. Thread looped through her fingers like a cat's cradle. Glowing faintly, Eliot sat down across from her. Cautiously, "Do you know what this is? More than you do," she said, "but less than it wants me to." Her eyes were strange, gold-flecked, like dusk had taken shelter in them. She handed him a spool of thread, warm to the touch, heavier than it looked. "This is for when feeding fails." Eliot did not understand, but he pocketed the thread anyway. Lynn explained things differently, not in facts, but in metaphors. "Monsters are rips in meaning," she said once. "You tear, I stitch. Sometimes we cross threads." She walked with him after school, pointed at cracks in the air that no one else could see. "That is a sorrow rip," she would say. "Someone left a grief too heavy here." Or, "That shimmer is a lie someone told themselves too often." She stitched them, quietly, drawing thread through reality, leaving behind nothing but calm. The backpack never growled at her, never twitched, never hummed with hunger. It just warmed, gently. Eliot asked her once, "How do you know all this?" She paused, tugged the thread. "I used to be someone else. Then the world forgot. And when I came back, the thread remembered me." Eliot did not push further. Some stories were not ready yet. One afternoon, they found a monster curled in a tree, shaped like a child's drawing of a dog, all uneven limbs and extra eyes. Eliot reached for the backpack, but Lynn held up a hand. "Let me try." She stepped forward, spoke to the creature in a soft language made of string and wind. Then she sewed its mouth closed, not harshly, but kindly, and the thing, deflated, not dead, not eaten, just quiet. A whisper returned to silence. Eliot was stunned. You did not destroy it. Didn't have to. She shrugged. It just wanted to stop remembering. Eliot began to understand. Not all monsters needed to be devoured. Some just needed someone to listen, or stitch, or forgive. That night, the backpack did not open, but Eliot heard it whisper. She remembers what I forget. Lynn met Gran once. They shared a glance. Then tea. Gran gave her a thimble, old Stitcher's gift. Lynn bowed in return. Eliot asked her once, "Why do you help me?" She smiled. "Because once, someone helped me, and I never got to say thank you." Days passed. They stitched. They fed. They mapped. Lynn added notes to his journal. Drew symbols he could not read. Taught him knots that undid nightmares. One evening, Eliot asked, "What if the backpack wants to eat me?" Lynn did not answer immediately, then said, "Then I will stitch you back." The moon rose, thread glowed, and somewhere deep inside the backpack, a purr of something that might have been comfort or warning. Eliot did not know yet, but for now, he was not alone. It started with a spoon, not a magical one, not even a particularly shiny one, just a plain silver spoon that somehow appeared in Eliot's backpack during lunch on a Thursday. He did not remember packing it, did not remember seeing it at home, but there it was, lying on top of his sandwich, warm to the touch and engraved with the word again. That should have been the first clue. The second came when Theo asked, "Didn't we already have this conversation?" The third was harder to ignore. At 3:17 p.m., the same bird crashed into the same window for the second time in under 10 minutes. Eliot froze. The backpack shuddered, and the air went thick like soup left on a windowsill. That night, everything reset. He woke up to Thursday. Again. Same toast. Same weather. Same comment from his mom about the neighbor's suspiciously large mailbox. Eliot blinked. Checked the calendar. Thursday. Again. Over and over. Each loop a little stranger. Lynn disappeared after the third repeat. Miss Kettle's office was locked after the fourth. By the fifth Thursday, the sky had started dripping upward. Eliot began mapping the loops, sketching every variation. The backpack remained eerily quiet, purring sometimes, but not opening, as if it was waiting, storing something. On Thursday number 7, he found a door in his closet, one that had not been there before. It opened onto a tea room, dimly lit, with one occupant, an old man, wild-haired, robes ink-stained, sipping tea made of colors that did not exist. "Hello, Eliot," said the man. Isaac Newton, Eliot guessed. "Not exactly," the man replied. "More of a composite echo, but close enough. Why am I looping time hiccups when meaning collapses?" he said. "And you, my dear boy, are carrying too many meanings at once." He gestured to the backpack. "It is full of things that should not coexist. Eventually, the pressure warps chronology." Eliot stared. "Can I stop it? Depends." Newton sipped tea. "Are you ready to remember what the monster remembers?" Eliot did not know how to answer. Newton flicked his spoon. Identical to the one Eliot had found. Spoons. Very underrated time anchors. Then he pointed behind Eliot. A doorway, leading into a hall of mirrors. Each mirror showed a different Thursday. Some slightly off, some horrifyingly wrong. One showed Eliot with eyes too large, holding a backpack that whispered in French. Another showed a version of him staring at nothing, empty. Another showed Lynn, alone, sewing herself back together. Eliot stepped forward. Drawn to one mirror, it showed a creature sitting on a bench, waiting. Its eyes met his. It stood, walked toward the glass, and said, "I remember every Eliot." The mirror shattered. Time cracked. Eliot fell, spinning through Thursdays like a marble through a funnel, until he landed hard, in his room, breathless, sweating. Friday. Finally Friday. He rushed outside. The sun different, the air lighter. Lynn waited on the porch. "Took you long enough," she said. "You remember me?" Eliot asked. "Most of me." She smiled. The backpack was still. Eliot opened it. Inside was the spoon, glowing faintly, etched now with the word continue. That night, he wrote a new rule. Rule 12. If time breaks, find the version of you who still knows your name. And never underestimate silverware. The hollow tree stood at the edge of nowhere, where the forest forgot its own name and the map refused to draw in the lines. Eliot found it because the backpack pulsed with every step toward it, not with hunger, but with reverence. The path twisted like it had opinions, thorns leaning back only when he whispered thank you. Lynn walked beside him, silent, a thread looped gently around her, wrist like a leash for something invisible. The tree was enormous, older than memory, its trunk wide enough to house regret, its bark marked with symbols that shimmered when ignored. At its base, a doorway, no hinges, just space. Eliot stepped forward, the backpack humming low. Lynn stayed back. "It only wants one," she said, "and you have already been chosen." He nodded, stepped into the hollow. The air inside was still, and full of presence. It was not empty. It was occupied by something vast. The figure sat on a throne made of unspoken promises, antlers branching into galaxies, skin made of leaf and bone. It looked at him, and without moving, spoke. "You carry the eater." Eliot swallowed. "Yes." "Do you wish to understand it?" "Yes." "Then you must make a trade." The backpack stirred. Eliot asked, "What kind of trade?" The figure raised a hand, and a shape appeared, floating, flickering. It was Eliot's laughter, bottled, glowing faintly. "You may ask one question, in exchange for one piece of yourself. What happens when the backpack is full?" The figure blinked. Once, twice, then said, "It chooses a bearer to become the next gate." Gate to what? To hunger, to forgetting, to the thing beneath all names. Eliot shivered. "Has it chosen me?" "Not yet." The laughter vanished. Eliot felt a hollowness, like a joke he could not remember. "If I refuse, then another will carry it. Perhaps more cruelly, perhaps not at all." Eliot sat down, his hands shaking. "Why me?" "Because you are curious, and kind, and you have not broken yet." The figure stood, towering, shadowed. "One more trade, and I will give you a choice." "What kind of trade?" Eliot whispered. A memory rose, unbidden. His father, laughing on the day he left. The sound of the car door, the silence after. "Give me the sound of that door," the figure said, "and I will give you a door that only opens once." Eliot nodded. The air shimmered. The memory was gone, replaced with something smoother, quieter. In his pocket, a key appeared, wooden, carved with a spiral. "What is behind it?" he asked. "That depends on how much you want to leave." The figure stepped back, became mist, became part of the roots. Eliot left the hollow. Lynn waited. "You look shorter," she said. "I traded my laugh." Eliot replied. "I noticed." She smiled. The backpack did not open, but it warmed. That night, Eliot wrote, Rule 13. If a forest asks for something precious, give it only what you can afford to never get back. And never trust a door without a handle. It began with the coin, the one from the train station, warm in Eliot's pocket, whispering vibrations through denim and skin. He had not touched it in days, but that morning, it rolled out of the drawer by itself, bounced once, then settled with its etched side facing upward. The symbol glowed faintly, and the air around it smelled like citrus and static. Lynn looked at it, frowned. "It is ready." For what? Eliot asked. She did not answer, just handed him the thread, and said, "Tie it around your wrist, and do not speak unless spoken to." That was all the warning he got. The backpack buzzed, vibrated, then yawned open wider than ever before, revealing not darkness, but a hallway tiled with mirrors. Eliot stepped through, and the world folded inward. He landed on his feet in a place that was not a place. The sky above was painted, literally, brushstrokes still wet, clouds dripping color into rivers that flowed backward. The air shimmered, full of voices humming lullabies in no language at all. A gate swung open, and Eliot realized he was inside a cage. He reached out, touched invisible walls, soft like velvet, firm like glass. Beyond the enclosure, creatures watched him, dozens of them, maybe hundreds. Some floated, some blinked sideways, some sat cross-legged in midair and took notes with pens made of feathers. One had 7 faces, all smiling differently. Another looked like Lynn, but older, sadder, asleep. A sign above the cage read, Homo curiosus, tends to ask too many questions. Caution, prone to empathy. Eliot backed away. This is a zoo, he whispered. A voice from somewhere replied, Reverse zoo, for dreamers. The speaker hovered into view, translucent, with a crown of candles and a face like a puzzle not yet solved. Welcome to Observation Zone 8. Why am I here? Eliot asked. The creature tapped the cage. Because you carry the hunger, and the hunger has not been studied in millennia. Let me out. Soon. First, questions. Over the next hour, or what passed for time in this realm. The creatures asked. What color is guilt? How does your monster taste your fear? If you could unzip your memories. Which would run first? Eliot answered what he could. Stayed silent when he could not. They took notes, debated, plotted once. At some point, a group of smaller creatures sketched him. One whispered, He is sad in fractals. Another nodded. Put him next to the child who swallowed the clock. Eliot's head throbbed. The backpack shivered behind him. You are not supposed to be in a cage. He whispered. The bag unzipped slightly, released a pulse. The walls trembled. The creatures gasped. One shrieked, It is awake. Another hissed. He brought it whole. Eliot reached back, opened the zipper fully. The cage shattered, soundlessly, like glass dreaming of rain. The dreamers scattered, flying, warping, flickering into corners that bent away. Only the candle-crowned speaker remained. You have undone the exhibit. I did not agree to be in one. Eliot said, Then we owe you a door. The creature replied. It bowed, and the air parted, revealing a stairway made of breath and bone. Climb down to go home. Eliot hesitated. What happens if I fall? You will wake up somewhere stranger. And if I climb, you will forget just enough to keep moving. He looked back. The cage was gone. Lynn stood where the gate had been, thread in hand. She smiled. Told you not to talk. Eliot took her hand. Climbed. The backpack pulsed twice, then fell still. That night, he wrote, Rule 14. If you become the exhibit, rewrite the sign, and never trust applause from things that do not blink. It did not start with a whisper this time, or a purr, or a twitch of the zipper. Started with a word, spoken aloud, in Eliot's voice, but not from his mouth. Listen. He froze. The backpack lay on the bed, unmoving, but the word had come from inside it. Clear, direct, no echo, no metaphor, just speech. Eliot sat slowly, heart thudding. Did you just talk? Silence. Then, yes. The voice was calm, ancient, layered like it had been folded 1,000 times. And every fold remembered its own story. Why now? Eliot asked. Because you asked the forest, and drank from the mirror, and walked through the dream cage. You are ready to carry more. More what? Eliot whispered. Truth. The zipper slid open. Smooth, slow, deliberate. Inside, the lining shimmered, then parted, revealing not darkness, but a soft, golden light. And from that light came the voice again. I was not made. I was gathered. Eliot blinked. What does that mean? I am not invention. I am collection. Pieces of regret, stitched with memory, zipped with silence. Where did you come from? From the first fear, the first shadow cast by firelight, the first story told to keep children near. Eliot swallowed. So you are An idea I am need. The voice said, I am the place where unspoken things go to be quiet. I eat what you cannot face. I contain what you cannot carry. Eliot shivered. Have you always been this way? No, the backpack said. Once. I was a boy. Silence. Thick and heavy. Eliot felt his throat tighten. You were human before. And now I am container. I remember too much. And so I hold it for others. Do you want to be free? Eliot asked. The backpack rustled. Like leaves in wind. I want to rest. But rest requires replacement. Eliot froze. You mean, me? Not yet. The voice said, you are still becoming. What do you want from me? Understanding. Choice. And one day, permission. Eliot stood, pacing. You could have told me all of this before. You were not ready. And Lynn, she patches what I cannot. The backpack said, she sews the seams I tear open. She remembers softness. Eliot sat again, hands shaking. Have you ever hurt someone? Yes. The voice replied, when I was afraid, when I fed without asking. And now I ask, through you. Eliot leaned back, looked at the ceiling. What happens if I say no? Then I sleep, and another will carry me. Eventually, Eliot closed the zipper. Slowly, carefully. The room felt warmer, heavier, but not worse. He whispered, I will think about it. That night, he dreamed of a field of backpacks, all whispering, all humming, and one, in the center, crying. In the morning, Lynn met him at the corner, handed him a cup of tea. You look like you heard too much. I did, Eliot said. Good, she replied. That means it finally trusts you. He looked down at the bag, and for the first time, felt less like a curse, more like a conversation. That night, in his journal, he wrote, Rule 15, if the backpack speaks, do not interrupt, and whatever you do, do not lie. It began with a weight, not physical, but heavy all the same. The backpack had not opened in 3 days, had not whispered, had not pulsed, just rested in the corner of Eliot's room like a sleeping God waiting for one last prayer. Lynn noticed first. It is almost done. Is not it? Eliot nodded. It wants one more. Do you know what? Not yet. But he did. Somewhere inside him. He already knew. That night, the map did not pulse. The compass did not twitch. Even the thread on Lynn's wrist lay slack. Eliot wandered the town anyway, searching alleys, rooftops, under bridges, looking for something monstrous, something jagged, something hungry, but there was nothing, just wind, lamplight, the quiet hum of a town pretending not to remember what lived in its corners. He sat by the lake, the water calm, moonlight like spilled milk on glass. The backpack opened slightly, a soft click, like a door unlocking itself. You are full, Eliot said. Almost. The voice replied, but not with monsters. Then what? With echoes, with pain that was not faced, with pieces of you. Eliot closed his eyes. What do you want to finish with? Choice, the backpack said. I will show you 3. And it did. The air shimmered, and before him stood 3 forms. The first, a twisted version of his father, the one who left, made of broken promises and car door echoes. The second, himself, younger, scared, curled beneath a blanket, pretending not to hear the arguments downstairs. And the third, a shadow that looked like Lynn, but stitched together wrong, mouth sewn shut, hands trembling with regret. Eliot stood, breath shallow. I have to choose. Yes. And whoever I choose disappears, yes. But they are not monsters. No, the backpack said. But they are what you fear the most. Eliot walked toward the version of Lynn, her eyes wide, pleading. She did not speak, could not, but he saw what she carried. All the moments he would leaned on her, all the weight she would stitch together with grace. Eliot shook his head. Not her. He turned to the boy, the small version of himself, scared, ashamed, full of questions with no one to ask. He reached out, touched his shoulder. You made it, he whispered. You do not need to be afraid anymore. Then he stepped back. Finally, he turned to the shape of his father. Not a monster, not anymore, just a man who made bad choices, who never looked back. Eliot stared at him. "I am done carrying you." The shape nodded, once, almost thankful, and stepped forward. The backpack opened, wide, reverent, silent, and consumed. No struggle, no scream, just a sigh, and then silence. The zipper slid shut. Slow, final. Eliot fell to his knees, tears hot, but not bitter. Lynn was suddenly beside him, thread in hand in his. "You chose forgiveness," she said. "Not for him," Eliot whispered. "For me." The backpack lay still, lighter, quiet, done. That night, Eliot wrote the last entry. Rule 16. When the bag is full, do not feed it fear. Feed it freedom. Then close it, and let it sleep. It was the first day Eliot had ever seen without a single shadow. Not on the sidewalk. Not beneath the trees. Not even under his own feet. The sun hung high, still and cold. Too bright to blink at, yet offering no warmth. People in town walked slower, spoke softer, as if trying not to disturb something fragile. The backpack sat on Eliot's desk. Zipped, silent, lighter than ever. Lynn stood by the window, frowning. "It is today. Is not it?" Eliot nodded. "It is not asking for anything anymore. That is what makes it dangerous." Eliot stepped outside, expecting the air to hum, the compass to twitch, the thread to pull. But nothing happened. It was too quiet, like the world had held its breath and forgotten how to exhale. As he walked down the street, he noticed strange things. A dog barked, but its mouth did not move. A newspaper rustled, though there was no wind. And in the reflection of a shop window, Eliot saw himself smiling while he knew he was not. "They are testing you." Lynn's voice came from behind. "To see if you remember what is real." Eliot kept walking, past familiar houses that looked suddenly unfinished, painted on, fake. The sun followed him, casting no shadow. The backpack did not move, did not speak, but inside it pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat trying to decide if it should continue. At the town square, he saw a crowd gathered, all of them familiar, all of them wrong. Their faces were made of memories, stitched from old birthday cards, math quizzes, tearful apologies. They parted silently, revealing a door that had not been there yesterday. Above it, a sign. Final inventory. Lynn appeared beside him, but this time, different, translucent, flickering. "You can't bring me in." Eliot looked at her. "Why not?" "Because this is your last test. And I am just a story you leaned on. You are more than that." "Maybe," she said, smiling softly, "but today, you walk alone." She vanished, like thread pulled from the edge of a sweater. Eliot took a breath, stepped through the door. Inside was nothing, and everything, a room filled with light, but no source. And in the center, a chair. On it, the backpack, open, empty, waiting. The voice returned, not from the bag, but from the room itself. "What do you fear?" "Now that the monsters are gone," Eliot stepped forward, heart steady. "I fear forgetting why I carried you." "Then remember," said the voice, "you did not carry me to destroy, but to witness." Images appeared, monsters he would fed, creatures Lynn had stitched, his own face reflected in each one, twisted, scared, growing. The voice continued, "You have one last thing to carry. Before you leave me." A shape appeared, small, weightless, a memory, his own hand, reaching out as a child, and no one reaching back. He stepped forward, lifted it, cradled it, held it to his chest. "It is okay," he whispered. "You are safe now." The memory dissolved, warm and soft. The backpack zipped itself. "One last time." "It is done," said the voice. "You have passed." Eliot stood still, then whispered, "Will I remember you only if you choose to?" The room faded. The sun outside dimmed. Shadows returned. Eliot stepped back onto the sidewalk, The town breathing again. Lynn waited. Real this time. You are back. Did I leave only a little? She smiled. The backpack was lighter. Empty. Not dead. Just resting. Eliot touched it gently, and it purred once, then fell still. That night, in his journal, he wrote, Rule 17. If the day has no shadows, listen carefully. You are standing in the light of your own test, and it always knows when you are ready. That night, Eliot did not put the backpack in the corner. He placed it beside his pillow, zipper facing him, as if they were two old friends sharing a final secret. It had not stirred since the test, had not whispered, had not pulsed. It was lighter now, but not hollow, more like it had let go of something it had carried for far too long. Eliot lay in the dark, the moon casting silver patterns on the ceiling, and asked the question he would been avoiding. Are you really empty? The backpack did not answer. Not with words, but the air shifted, warm, still, and Eliot understood. Some things were not meant to be answered out loud, because emptiness was a trick of light, a word we used when we did not know how to measure what remained. The backpack would never be truly empty, not while Eliot still remembered what it had taken, not while he still carried the lessons in his chest. Every monster fed, every memory stitched, every rule written, all of it lived in him now, not just in the journal, but in the way he breathed, the way he looked at shadows, the way he listened when something did not make sense. Lynn sat on the windowsill, thread trailing from her fingers like moonlight. She did not speak, did not have to. Eliot opened the journal, flipped to the last page, and wrote one final line. Rule 18. Some bags never fully close. That is okay. Just do not sleep with your back to them. He smiled, closed the book, and rested his hand on the backpack one last time. Thank you. The zipper moved slightly, not open, not shut, just resting. Eliot closed his eyes, the sound of his breath sinking with the hush of the night. Tomorrow, he would return the map to Miss Kettle, visit Gran, give Lynn the silver spoon. But tonight, he would sleep, not because the journey was over, but because he had finally earned rest. Outside, the wind curled softly through the trees. The stars blinked without urgency, and the monsters, wherever they now were, stayed quiet. And now, with the backpack silent, and the map rolled tight, Eliot breathes deeply, safely, each inhale a memory, each exhale a goodbye. The monsters are gone, or at least, quiet for now. They no longer claw at the edges of his thoughts, no longer twist under his bed or flicker behind his reflection. They have been seen, understood, and tucked gently into the folds of a boy who no longer runs from what is strange. The town sleeps, unaware of the stories stitched through its streets. The antique shop, still closed, but watching. The library, dark, but dreaming. Gran's attic window glows faintly, a flicker of candlelight or maybe just a memory passing through. And Eliot, curled beneath a quilt older than logic, rests easy, knowing that he is not alone, that someone, somewhere, always carries a thread, a spoon, a map, a truth. The backpack lies beside him, zipper closed, warm to the touch, not empty, never empty, but satisfied, content. It does not need to hum tonight, does not need to pulse or whisper. It only needs to be, and so it is. As the night stretches thin, and the stars begin to dim, you feel yourself sinking too, not into fear, but into quiet, into comfort, into stillness. Let the world fade gently. Let the folds of Eliot's journey wrap around you, like a second blanket, soft, steady, and safe. The monsters have been fed, the doors have been closed, and the boy with the backpack, like you, has made it to the other side of the night.